Hello and welcome to this space, the last space in the Spiritual Biz YouTubers community. And that is a tribute fund, so a tribute to my son. So as the founder of the Soul Legacy Academy and host of the Soul Legacy TV, I talk about launching, leading and leaving your soul legacy with ease, grace and flow. And I've had many variations of my business and company. Starting out with Life Matters, starting out where I was from, and then I had the International Health Professions Mentoring Alliance, and then I had Central Purpose as a community, and I had the Soul Speakers Academy. And when I came offline, after my son made his transition, he got knocked off his motorbike 12 days before his 20th birthday in April 2015. And I didn't bring tissues, and I can feel it already, and I'm like, oh gosh, okay. So I launched, when I came back online, I launched with the Soul Speakers Academy at first, did I? But the Soul Speakers Academy had to die a death, a really painful death, and become the Soul Legacy Academy. And it's huge. And I talked about in the book launch, in the book readers space, in space 10, when for the walkthrough videos, if you've gone through the one before this, the Millennium Messenger from Brenda Bouchard. I think I'm going to sneeze. Spiritual sneezes. And he inspired me to be that messenger. And he has said about just getting a message out there to millions of people, right? And it was through the confirmations of that book that I bought I was like, oh, I'm going to buy the domain name Soul Speakers Academy. And so I was speaking my soul's message and launching, leading and leaving my soul legacy. So when I came back online, after helping and healing myself first for about 3.5 years, I'll always be helping and healing myself first, because the journey doesn't end. I wanted to dedicate my work to my son. I have a beautiful daughter as well who interviewed me, which I shared. If you've watched the masterclass stuff, I've shared it in the bonuses. Daniel left me a beautiful granddaughter, Brooklyn. We had a fund for Brooklyn. I just got an email just now, in between recording, excuse me. I don't know it's coming, in between recording, to see what I can do with the fund. So let me share my screen and share with you the donation. So this is a tribute to Danielle. And if you feel touched in your life in any way, shape or form, with the Soul Legacy Academy, with SLA or SBYN, the Spiritual Biz YouTubers Network, please support me in paying tribute to Crew's bereavement care. Ruth came to sit with me on my couch week in and week out for months, and she worked for Crew's bereavement care. So thank you, Ruth, for your support and your guidance during my darkest days. So Crew's bereavement care is it's a charity that actually just help people who have gone through grief. Volunteers. She volunteered and she became a really dear friend. And Barry and I started Gifted to Shine, a meetup for Lightworkers. And Ruth came along and kind of co-hosted with us. It was beautiful. So thank you, Janae Marie, for making that donation. I really, really do appreciate it. And with my granddaughter's fund, we had many people contribute to that. So if you've ever lost a loved one, then you'll know that feeling. And I plan to have the Much Love as an extension onto the Soul Legacy Academy. the Much Love site, and I was telling Ruth about this, and I said, "Oh gosh, you know, Much Love," and she said, "Oh, my mum's on there." So it's a beautiful way to pay tribute to your loved ones. So dedicating loving memory of Nelly. So this is Darnell and I on my 40th birthday in our hometown. Was about to become a grandmother 4 weeks after that. So I'm gonna share with you the book that I wrote, the co-author book chapter, which is going to be released in about a month. So I'm really happy that is going to be released. And I had forgotten that I'd done this tribute and I put it in here. So I'm just going to read through it and bear with me, okay? All right. So this is how long it is. All right. So I love you, big boy. They'll say, "Mum, you're such a wetty." And I want to share it with you and get to the end. So I'm going to grit my teeth or pause when I need to. Have his picture just next to me. So a picture of my granddaughter in front of me. Oh, already. I thought, no, I'm not going to get the tissues. But okay. All right. Please bear with me. This is so important to me. And I can hear him. The only thing that makes me stop crying is hearing him say, "Mum, you're such a wetty." He calls me wetty like a horse. So as the founder of the SoulLegacyAcademy.com and producer of SBYN, and it's not because tears are wrong or I don't want you to see my tears, I just want to get to the end of reading this and acknowledging my son. I dedicate my soul work to my son as a tribute and loving memory to my spirit angel, Darnell Meade, born on the 6th of May 1995 to the 24th of April 2015. And when I just even reading that is crazy. And on my first episode of the Soul Legacy TV, I share and people say, "Oh, you know, you need a tears warning." And when I share on my masterclass, you get the tears. And people say, some people say, "Oh, you know, do you want healing around that? Do you want," and I'm like, you have not lost a child. I'm doing fucking great. Listen, I will always miss my child. Always. And there's nothing wrong with crying and acknowledging a loved one. Don't try and fix everyone. So I appreciate love. And I appreciate, you know, the hand in the gesture of love. But it's okay. Right? It's okay. And I'm okay. So I wanted to just say that. Okay. Darnell was knocked off his motorbike at the age of 19 years, 12 days before his 20th birthday. He passed away on the roadside, and I didn't get to say goodbye to my baby boy. This is the impact statement I was asked to write to support my son's case in court. It was never used, but I wanted to share. It took me a year to write it. My mum's like, "Write it." I'm like, dude. My name is Iona Meade. I'm Darnell's mum. Darnell was loved by many all over the world, our family, our friends, and loved ones near and far. He was valued at work and had trained to become a level 2 chef and shared ambitions with his boss to take over running the pub, to build a home with his little girl and partner. He was working with me on my business development, and we had planned that he would eventually take over. Darnell had plans, and like us, thought he still had his whole life before him to make it happen, as well as being the life and soul wherever he went. He felt deep sympathy with people as a result of having lost several. inside and out, had several losses inside and outside of our family. The deepest sadness remained with him after losing his friend when he was 11. And he had real value and respect for life. He knew it was what it was worth, and he wanted to make the most of it. The day I got a phone call to say my baby boy had been in a road traffic accident and passed away on the roadside, I screamed so loud the neighbour could hear me. I sank to my knees with my heart foot broken and still remains numb. I didn't get to say goodbye to my baby boy. Instead, I was asked to identify his body hours later. There are not words enough to describe how his loss has affected me. Having to share this news with his sister that afternoon when she came home from school, and will continue to affect us for the rest of our lives. All the memories of the most precious boy don't feel like enough. They were cut short. No mother should endure such deep sorrow and have to tell their mother her grandson was gone 12 days before his 20th birthday. Part of Daniel's grandmother and me was lost that day. She was there at his birth and cut his cord, which he quite rightly said at his service. Since then, when anyone asks if I have children, it's not just a simple yes answer anymore. But in explaining, I relive the feeling of loss all over again. I usually gulp and explain I had 2 children. But now I only have 1 child with me on the earth plane. It takes me back. I know they see the look on my face as I embrace myself to try to considerately explain. It doesn't feel right to respond by saying I only have 1 child with no mention of Dana, as it brings up guilt and feels deeply disrespectful to the memory of my firstborn. The sticking point that replays in my mind is the last time I saw my 2 children together. This was something I wasn't prepared for or ever imagined I would experience. I was standing in the chapel of rest visiting my 19-year-old son by appointment with my 12-year-old daughter, and she slowly leant over her big brother's coffin with tears in her eyes and whispered to him, "Remember, we are still the Meade team, but just a faraway team now." The devastation cannot truly be explained here on paper, but I'm going to try and give you a brief glimpse, a snapshot of what life has been like for everyone over the last year and what it means to now not have my son's handsome smile and presence within our family. Firstly, I wish to take this time to convey the sadness of my granddaughter who already knows what it's like to not have her daddy be there on her birthday or Christmas, or pick her up from nursery, or have him be on the other end of a phone, or be at his workplace as they go by. They can no longer stop and go in and see him. She's now 2. I feel a lot of sadness for what she is yet to know and enjoy. What it will feel like to not have her daddy take care of her, to be there for all the most important milestones and poignant moments in her life. Instead, she has photos and videos in moments they shared with the first 1.5 years of her life, and the site to visit and lay flowers. The things that others may take for granted, she will now have a void for what seems like the little things, like being there for her first day of school. My heart heavy because I've been there when her mother feels so alone and judged as a single mother, as did I. Why did I not bring tissue? This will stay with them as they witness other children and their daddies at the playground, school sports days, parents' evenings, clubs, etc. The pain in the moments her mum thinks about Dana and how he would have been watching Daddy's little girl become a young woman, vetting boys, paying for driving lessons, giving her away on her wedding day. The emotional and financial impact of being a lone parent is something I know and he knew all too well. He made a vow not to let history repeat itself. It's the last thing any of us wanted. The last thing he would have wanted is for Sorrel, his girlfriend of 4 years, his soulmate and first true love, to live with the pain of the bond of childhood sweethearts, something they were both proud of, be broken, and the bond of her daddy and his daughter fade away. My role has changed from being his mother, and for the most part playing dual role of father, to being a grandmother trying to give comfort in the moments where my granddaughter needs her daddy but cannot be there for her. The whole trajectory of my own and his girlfriend's family tree has been altered. He can't give Brooklyn a brother or a sister. He can't be an uncle to his sister's children, and I will not watch my boy grow older. The impact extends so far and deep as these things I've been asked to think about to give you some idea of what our lives look like now and will continue to be down the road after this is all over. For us, the reality is now a sea of never-ending sadness and loss for our family that is vast, not to mention the many others like his stepfather, aunties, uncles, cousins, 3 of which were born in the same year, just weeks and a few months apart. Even his work colleagues having him missing and looking to replace the role in the kitchen was very difficult. Clearly, there isn't enough time or room to describe the pain of a loss everyone has felt from a life relatively short. But no, this one was one where an enormous positive impact was made to many. When I gave birth to my firstborn, I thought there would be and should be years, more memories to come. There should be watching him be the guardian with his own small family. There should be seeing him question the first person who dates his sister. There should be years of loving hugs, seeing him building his career, sharing hopes and dreams together, helping him realize his ideals as he every day has inspired me towards mine. But that cannot be. It stopped, snatched, cut off by the side of a van and into oncoming traffic. I want to know why the world hasn't stopped. Why people are still carrying on with their ordinary lives. Don't they know my boy has gone? That nothing else matters. And I go through it in my mind over and over again. If I could have been there to save him, if I'd have done something different that day, it would have changed the path that has led to this. The rational part of me knows I could not have changed what happened, but the motherhood isn't rational. And it feels so much more real. Daniel's daughter, Brooklyn, puts colour back into the world for me, and my daughter, Mia, his little sister, is my reason for breathing and functioning. But life without Daniel is hollow and scared by despair. And I think it was scared by despair. I cannot think about the future, about how to talk to Brooklyn about her dad. Even after a year, I haven't totally come to terms with him being gone. I know he isn't here. That's what was once his body is now ashes. But my whole being cannot help wishing he was. For all that I am grateful to have had nearly 20 years of being his mum, of loving him and having him near. Oh, wow. I cannot help but wish for more. My baby boy would have been 21 very soon. I miss Daniel deeply, and the pain and the stress has cut deep and has taken its toll in physical form of shakes, weight loss, hair loss, and ongoing nightmares for me, and trauma trapped within my now 13-year-old daughter, Mia. I tried not to wrap her up in cotton wool and or be massively overprotective mother by having her check via text on the hour. Excuse me, I still feel like that, but she does sense or worry about her safety on a daily basis. Sorry, she does sense I worry about her safety on a daily basis. In fact, every time she leaves my side, this in and of itself is an ongoing struggle not to project my fear onto her. I asked the court to take the next path of action that is befitting, right and just. I put faith in the process of being given this opportunity for my words to be taken into consideration, as it is taken almost a year for me to be in the frame of mind to be able to write them down. If you feel, and then I've said about the roof, that is big. That is huge. I want to say, gosh, go mom, really. Thank you for allowing me to share that with you. I want to read the co-author book series that I am part of. I'm very proud to be part of. This is the unedited version. I'm going to read it anyway. So this is a pre-edited version, and the book is called The Secret Child, Life After Loss. It's a co-authored book series, and Brenda Pearce and Sue Dank are the authors of this, and as soon as I get a copy, I will share it with you. So I haven't read all of the stories from the other parents in there, so I'm really looking forward to reading it. I think it will be a teary read, but just we were asked to share our loss, but how it's impacted and inspired us. So here goes. So I shared this with Lindsay. One of the reasons why I put this in here is because I shared it with Lindsay after I read her book, and she said, I'd love to read, your co-authored chapters. And I said, massive ringing in my ear. Oh, wow, thank you. And I said, I'll just share it with you. So, soul guidance. This is the soul guidance, our love, our loss, our soul legacy. Your soul legacy is every life you impact, influence, impress upon, and every soul client, soul family, and soul tribe you touch. Soul expansion begins with you. It's my quote. I am Meade. She gently kissed my firstborn's forehead and whispered in her big brother's ear, "We are still a faraway team, we're still a team, just a faraway team now." I stood watching, blurry-eyed, as my daughter bent over, but leaned in without fear, with love and care. My heart was broken. Tears streamed down my face. I had no idea why this was happening, but it was, and I knew I had to face it, because it wasn't going away. Right then, standing, watching my 12-year-old daughter saying goodbye for the very last time, we were to ever see him. If I didn't have a sense of knowing that we are souls having a human experience, I honestly think my heavy heart would have weighed me down, and I would have fallen to the floor and not been able to stand up and walk out and leave my baby boy. As we left the funeral home that day, I knew in the moment that life and death would never be the same for us again. Never. Part of me, us, our team was left there that day. 3 became 2. We felt the deep loss of sadness, of sudden death. We didn't get to say goodbye or tell him how much we loved him one last time before he passed away. I didn't get to say bye to my equal big man. No matter what, my little girl and I knew our love was not lost, and that it could never fade. Our bond would never die. We had his little girl to love. He left behind my 18-month-old granddaughter in the care of a wonderful mother that we all knew and would witness later. My mother had always tried to honour my son's values, wishes and dreams for his little girl. She knew he'd want her to keep in touch with us and raise a happy and healthy little girl. And I want to just say and acknowledge she is. And her she's got a wonderful partner, and she's got another little boy, which is not very old, it's just weeks old, not even a couple of months yet, and I consider him my grandson too. If you've ever felt loss of a child, or you know of someone, then you may know that many parents never fully recover. We don't. It's the loss of the past, in the present, and the future, and all cut short without adequate explanation. Some parents take years to accept their child is gone. Some parents are eventually able to turn their pain into power and plough themselves into a worthy cause in their child's name. That way, their name is not left unspoken and life lived and lost in vain. And then there are other parents, those who mourn and may feel unable to move and shift beyond the loss and pain. As I am writing this, crying intermittently, of course, I'm trying to put the pieces of this puzzle called life together, my life. Having my son at the age of 21 and raising him with an absent father, making memories, loving him so hard, my heart would burst. My heart would feel it could burst with the joy of watching him grow and become a father. Well, I'd like to tell you that I knew all along I would get through it, that there were never moments when I thought about not continuing my own life, but that wouldn't be true. We loved, we lost, and our soul guidance really stepped in. The universe has led me to you, to the legacy of this book and these pages written about our lost children. You see, I firmly believe this divine plan, this jigsaw puzzle of life, is bigger than us. We have soul contracts to fulfill, soul agreements made for our highest good. They brought us together, and here we are with you. However, it's hard for me to fathom, as I am human, after all, that I would have actually agreed to this. We would agree to this. Why? So, my son chose me to be his mama, and then would leave me in the way that he did without so much as a goodbye. That didn't make sense for a very long time. And in writing this, something clicked. And I cried, and then I slept, and then I cried some more. Clearly, there were signs. I saw them and followed them. But when you are putting the pieces of the puzzle together, you don't see the bigger picture until the last few pieces of the puzzle, right? I can't really see, my eyes are blurry. Again, I cannot tell you the human me isn't angry to learn this and doesn't want this to be true. But those signs my soul cannot ignore. We made an agreement, a soul contract, and I committed to answer the call of my soul, to take each day by day and be present so I could take a step-by-step approach to launch, lead, and leave our soul legacy with ease, grace, and flow. Darnell and I had planned for him to come into my online coaching business for spiritual entrepreneurs. I just never imagined his role would mean only his soul was present. We are still a soul team, doing our soul work. My daughter has been present in the business even before he passed. She was 11 years old. She interviewed me. my first ever interview and helped me celebrate the wins of my students by announcing the winners of my challenges that I set for them. I wanted to carry on the plan of us working together with him coming into the business. I didn't know what that would look and feel like. I am forever grateful my daughter's been travelling alongside this business with me all along. We plan for her to take a more active role. She's now 18 years old. What I now know, I did not know then, even though I have Erlen and dyslexia, is that we've been led to leave our soul legacy through books. The written, we found it so hard to write. He had it too. In the years preceding Daniel's passing, we've lived through a lot of adversity. And we would say, we'll just put it in the book. We said it often, and so did my daughter. In fact, a chapter I wrote was called Rising Above Adversity in the first book I co-authored in and became a #1 best-selling author. The second book I co-authored in was several years after Daniel passed. My page is called Time to Turn Wounds into Wisdom. It too became a #1 best-selling book. These books actually set the stage for the author and media work that I do in the world, and of course Daniel knew that before he made his transition. Again, as I'm here putting these pieces together, my jaw just dropped. Another sign, right? Yes. He knew of this and continues to give me signs that I cannot miss, as he has today as I write this. We connected and he is ever present in this moment and always will be. I know this now. That is the gift he left me with, just letting me know he didn't truly leave me. As I write these words for this co-authored book, The Secret Child, Life After Loss, I can almost hear him saying, I will never be a secret child, and life after my loss is going to touch thousands of people's lives. He has a very strong presence and a powerful energy. The book I had originally intended to write was referring to the one I said, we'll just put it in the book, was called The Prosperity Code, A to Z Keys to Manifesting Soul Satisfying Prosperity. I never wrote that book, but I did learn how. And yes, the human me just got it. I was following my soul guidance and preparing for the book. If I had known that the book I was going to write, what the book I was going to write was really about, I would have resisted it. Life would have had to drag me kicking and screaming into my destiny, to you and to my readers. I had no idea all the dark times, the spiritual awakenings I would have in relationships, the male relationships in my life, especially the losses that lead me to now. You see, the year after Daniel passed, my 7.5-year relationship ended. It was after that I came offline to help and heal myself first. I'd already been through the losses of one of my 5 big brothers, a messy divorce, and my dad and my father passing, and now my son. Not only had I lost some of the most important male figures in my life, but so had my daughter. We had a family history of this, and to bring it all to light, my son's passing was very, very public, offline and online in the media and the local community. Everyone in the small market town seemed to know about my loss. To face each day was hard for me. I felt before helping anyone else, online or offline, I needed to help and heal myself first. And so that is what I did, and I continue to do daily. I made a vow to rebuild the broken pieces of my life, and to make my life matter and have deeper meaning when I came back online, to live intentionally in accordance with my biggest values: freedom, love, family, honesty, fun, and integrity. I wanted to share what I had done and learned through the process of writing through a journal and how it could help others too. I called it the Soul Legacy Journal. It worked for me. It's working for others, and I feel blessed to inspire other spiritual biz YouTubers and their soul partners and their children, their grandchildren who've gone through dark times. I know that this was a call of my soul, that before my time was up on this earthly plane, that the lessons I came here to learn, experience happiness again, and to learn to have it all, freedom and balance in every area of my life. My entire life, I'd always come from a place of lack, a poverty consciousness, I call it. I knew if I could do it and make the shift to a prosperity consciousness and be grateful for life itself, for waking up and breathing that day, I would inspire others to do the same. And it turns out the book, the one we said, oh, we'll just put our life experience in whilst going through our spiritual awakening, is now a co-authored book series and companion journal. The book is called The Soul Legacy Journal, Spiritual Awakening Stories of 365. My soul was called to commit to run this annual book series for 7 years, to share the process of how I'm able to rise above adversity and turn my wounds into wisdom. And I was guided to share with you that there is supposed to be life after loss, a life more fully lived because of loss. I could not live every day wounded by my spiritual awakening and let those dark nights of my soul go by without taking the essence of those lessons learned and turning those wounds into wisdom and putting them into the book. I'm here now to share all that I had learned on my spiritual ascension journey as I walk my soul path through the pain of loss of my son and multiple losses in my life, the grief of losing my brother and my father's, because losing a child does not even hold a tiny comparison to the illusion of pain when we have things in the material world not work out for us the way we think they should. I know this. I had hit what I thought was my rock bottom in life and bounced back after a divorce and bankruptcy and homelessness. Trust me, it doesn't compare. There is so much to be grateful for. I remember saying that. Not every mama gets as long as I had with my son. That is the mantra that has gotten me through this last almost 6 years. Darnell agreed to give me signs and clues, way too many to mention: the readings, the oracle cards, the signs, the coincidences, the synchronicities, people showing up to love and support us, including my soul team, my twin flame, my lead soul guided instructors, and of the Soul Legacy Academy and the Spiritual Biz YouTubers Network. The angel bumps, the flickering lights, the strokes on my head, the purple hearts, and this book, Brenda and Dr. Sue, and the sign to have faith in the day I left my soul-sucking day job that led me to knowing it was time to come back online. After 3.5 years spent offline, helping and healing myself first, I cleaned homes and saw how many families lived. I came back online as a spiritual book and business coach, a mentor for soul-guided influencers and their families, so I could turn my wounds into wisdom fully. I had to make peace with my son leaving this earthly plane, not just for me, to get out of bed each day, but I knew I had to show my daughter and his little girl how to grieve, how to celebrate life fully, so they could pass those lessons on. I didn't know on that day, when I walked out of the funeral home, the book would become my soul's legacy and that I'm here to leave them. But it is. It's the thing I turn to that gets me through stopping trying to wish things away, and wish this away, wishing things were different. The bond we have will never be broken. Our relationship, our friendship was so strong. Many admired how I took time to raise my children and the closeness of the relationship between my son and my daughter was also evident to everyone. The day I got the phone call, "No, Mama wants to get," I can never truly put into words, never put words to paper and explain the pain of losing my son, Daniel Samuel Meade, so suddenly in a road traffic accident. But what I feel called to do, writing these words for you, is to share how I listen to my soul guidance and the snippet of our love, our loss, and how this has led to Soul Legacy now reaching hundreds so far in SBYN, and the beginnings of the seeds being sown to reach hundreds of thousands through the book. As a mother of what could have become a secret child, I can continue to carry on his memory of a life that matters most to me, taken but not forgotten. Daniel asked for his little sister a couple of years before I had Mia. He called her in. I had no clue that one day he would leave me, my firstborn and best friend, for 7 years before she came along. I knew he called her in. He was the first person to meet and speak to her father. This is another story that could be told in a book about the chance meeting I had with her father and how that unfolded. He was absent during her life, and that made our bond of 3 even stronger. It is becoming clearer as I write this, our soul contracts, the divine plan our souls agreed to before we came to this earthly plane. We are playing out those agreements without memory of having made them. That feels strange sometimes, especially on those days when it hits me that it has gone. Like yesterday when I got an updated picture of my granddaughter, his daughter at the age of now 7 years, in her new glasses, looking like his double. I always wondered, I asked if I would one day understand. I have, in writing these words for you, through this book, and sharing the loss of my son, aged 19, 12 days before his 19th birthday, before his 20th birthday on the 24th of April 2015. I want to thank you so much for allowing me to share that with you. I really appreciate it, and that is why I left this space to last. I feel very honoured and very blessed to have you with me on this journey, and if this touched you in any way, or if you had a tears, I didn't give it a tears warning, or did I? I don't know. There's so much I could say. I love you. Here's to launching, leading, and leaving our soul legacy with ease, grace, and flow. Big love. I shall see you on the inside of the Spiritual Biz YouTubers Network. Take care.